Hi everyone, in this video I'll be comparing the quinacridone colors that I have in my collection by mixing them with various colors that I have in my palette. The 5 quinacridone pigments that I'll be testing are quinacridone red light, quinacridone rose, quinacridone magenta, quinacridone pink, and quinacridone violet. Quinacridone red light is a mid-red color made with PR207, and there's a more common alternative to this pigment made with PR209, and PR209 is a slightly less orangey color compared to the one that I'm using. Quinacridone rose is a rose color made with gamma PV19, and this is a common choice for a mixing magenta or a purplish red color. And then quinacridone pink is very similar to quinacridone rose, but it's slightly more purplish and it is made with PV42. Quinacridone magenta is the closest color to magenta in terms of pigments, and it is made with PR122. And then finally, quinacridone violet is a darker desaturated alternative to quinacridone magenta, and it is made with beta PV19. So from these swatches, we can see some differences in terms of hue and saturation. The quinacridone red light is much redder compared to the others. The quin rose and quin pink are nice rose colors. And then the quin magenta and quin violet are the most purple leaning. And we can also see that the quin violet is the least saturated and the darkest. So for the colors that I'm mixing with my quinacridones, I plan on using subtractive primary and secondary colors in addition to a brown. The yellow color that I'm using is Hansa Yellow Light, also known as Lemon Yellow, which is made with PY3. And this is my mid yellow on my palette, but it usually is considered a greenish yellow. And then because I'm using a red as one of my quinacridones, I'm using orange as one of my secondary hues instead. And the orange that I'm using is transparent Pyrrole orange, made with PO71, which has a slight reddish cast. And then for my choice of blue, I'm using Indanthrone blue, which is also known as anthraquinone blue in mgrams line of paint, and this is made with PB60, and this is a dark, slightly less saturated blue. And then for my cyan color, I'm using a Phthalo Turquoise mixture made with PB15, which is Phthalo Blue, and PG7, which is Phthalo Green Blue shade. And then because Magenta's complement is green, I am using two different greens in this video. The first one is Phthalo Green Blue shade, which is made with PG7. And this is, I would call, a greenish cyan color. And then we have Phthalo Green Yellow shade, which is PG36, which is something closer to a middle green. And then because browns are commonly used in palettes, I am also mixing burnt umber with my quinacridones, and the burnt umber that I'm using is made with PBR7. Also, I'd like to note in this video, instead of adding commentary while mixing the colors, I'll be adding my commentary once all the mixes are complete. So here are the final swatches, and I'll be comparing these mixes based on different color groupings. So I'll do yellow and orange first, then blue and cyan, then the greens, and then the brown. So when we mix the quinacridones with the yellow and orange, we get pretty saturated red and orange colors, with the exception of quinacridone violet, because quinacridone violet is a less saturated color compared to the others. And I'd like to highlight, because Pyrrole orange is closer to red and magenta in terms of hue, the red and orange mixes that we get with Pyrrole orange tend to be brighter than the ones with lemon yellow. So for blue and cyan mixes, quinacridone pink and quinacridone magenta make the most saturated violet and purple colors, but quin rose and quin violet also make decently saturated colors too when mixed with blue and cyan. And then with quinacridone red light, I'd like to note that it's close to complementary with Phthalo turquoise, so we're getting some really dull mixtures with those two colors. So when we mix the phthalo greens with the quinacridones, we see that Quin Red Light gets neutralized by PG7, and we get very dull purple and violet colors with the Evers. And then when we mix PG36 with the quinacridones, we get neutralizations with Quin Rose and Quin Pink, and then we get very neutralized hues with the Ever quinacridones. I don't have too much to say about the mixtures with Burnt Umber, but I really do like the terracotta and mahogany tones that we get from each of the mixtures. Overall, I like all of the quinacridones that I have in my collection, and I'd recommend using the Quinacridone Red Light as a mixing red, and I think all the others can work as a mixing magenta, but if you do use Quin Violet as your magenta, I should note that this is a duller color, so your mixtures will be less saturated. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'm curious to hear what your favorite quinacridone colors are, and these can be colors that I didn't list in this video, such as Quin Gold or Quin Burnt Orange.